Hi everybody, welcome to Real Marriage. Katy Gillis.
Hi.
I'm Andy Gillis.
So we know that you, like we are, want to make your relationship with your partner better. You also probably want to live longer. But that's probably why you're here, is you want to learn tips and strategies and ways to make things better. And I like to even say, we want to make our marriage even better because it's already good. We're here to make it better. And if that's you, you're in the right places. That's what we're going to do here at Real Marriage.
Katy and I, we are marriage mentors. And over the last few years, we've created a community of people that, once a week, we all get our priorities straight. We have with our spouse. We talk about how our union is, how our marriage, how our relationship is. Schedules, especially with kids and children, we talk about schedules. So that's why we have been creating this community of people doing the same thing, mostly on the same night, Sunday night. And that's why we call it the Sunday night meeting.
And if you know us, you know that this is our thing. Every week, we encourage our couples to meet once a week and talk about what's going on in the marriage and what's going on in their life. We call it the Sunday night meeting. And if you are new to the show and this is your first time watching, we want to make sure you have a handy-dandy little tool that we created for you called the Sunday Night Meeting Agenda. And you can get that by signing up to our email list. It's at the top right hand of our Facebook page. It says sign up. And when you do that, you'll get a welcome email. And then you'll be able to get that great marriage tool in your email inbox. And we also have a little 7-minute video explaining exactly how to have a one-on-one meeting with your spouse and talk about your relationship. So we want to make sure you have that gift. It's what we're all about here at Real Marriage, and we want to make sure you have access to it too.
Awesome. We're going to jump into some really cool strategies for resolving conflicts. These are not mystical, like things you may never have heard of. It could be. You probably have.
Yeah.
But the cool thing, and I always think this is cool, is that they're radical.
Yeah.
They're not the mainstream or the normal way people go about conflicts, because most of the time people are worried about their feelings, their emotions. That's how they react. That's how they engage when it comes to conflict. And as Katy and I always say, is that feelings don't always represent truth.
Yes.
So to go into a conflict based on what you're feeling,
it's not really fair.
It's not absolutely. It's not fair, and it's probably not going to resolve the conflict the way you want it, or may stir up other things.
Yeah.
So
tonight we're
going to talk strategies, talk truth.
How to do it in a really nice, easy, succinct way.
Yeah, and we're going to cover two things. Yeah. We're going to cover, first, what if you had the conflict with that person? Mm-hmm. How do you approach that person? How do you approach that subject? The next one is, what if the other person or your spouse has a conflict with you? What should you do?
How can you handle that? Yeah.
That's right. So let's first go into the first one is if you have the conflict with your spouse and what you should do.
If you have a problem with them, yeah.
Yes, if there's a problem and how you should go about it. And first thing is focus on one issue at a time. If there's multiple issues, let's just start with one. Because I think if you come with more than one issue, you can barrage them and just they could just totally go in defensive mode and possibly make things worse. Yeah. So one issue. Next one is jump right into it. Don't wait. Don't hold off. Mm-hmm. Jump right into that issue and talk about it.
Mm-hmm. And the next one is whenever you are coming to your spouse with a challenge or an issue that you want to talk to them about, and it's like you're having a problem with them, make sure that you don't go on rabbit trails and talk about stuff that really isn't the central issue. Make sure you come prepared with that one thing that you want to talk about.
Yeah, and these next couple are really going to kind of...
Yeah, that's good.
It's going to be a shot to the heart on these, but the next one is try to be open and vulnerable. Mm-hmm. What? Don't want to be vulnerable when you want to win a conflict or win an argument, but no, to make you both winners, you've got to be vulnerable because you may hear some stuff about yourself that may not make you feel so good, and you kind of have to, put yourself out there a little bit to realize we'll grow as an individual and also solve the conflict.
Right, because when you think about it, the goal of conflict resolution is to grow together as a couple. You want to both win, not just you.
That's right.
So another thing that you want to think about when you're coming in to a conflict is to avoid name calling, avoid accusing people of things, and avoid using statements that say you. You always do this, or you don't ever do this. That's quite defensive. That puts the person on defense. So try to just not come in with that accusing tone.
That's
Think
right.
about how you phrase what you want to talk
not
about.
blaming the other person. you
Yes.
know. And, to reiterate, to always be learning, be open to learning things about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You're like I said, you're going to hear feedback. And it may not be pretty, or it may solidify certain things that you already know and that you may be working on. Be like, okay, I know, I understand. I could work on that.
So I think one of the key things to keep in mind when you're coming to your spouse, if you have a challenge with them or issue with them or a problem with them, is to think about the issue,
Right.
not try to get super emotional, but also come with grace. Like you want to come, like sometimes when Andy and I have conflicts and that I'm coming to him,
Yeah.
I don't give anything much thought. I'm just coming with this issue and it's hot and my emotions are high, and that's just sets us up for failure. But if I sit back and I think to myself, my husband loves me and he has goodwill for me and he wants to have a great relationship with me, that really helps me reset before I come and talk to him, because I have to remember my husband is not my enemy. Sometimes it's just that straight up. I just have to remember he's not the enemy, Katie.
Right.
The problem's not even the problem. It's how can we get through this and be stronger?
That's right. And it works both ways. And that kind of reminds me of the story you talked about, before we kind of implemented these tools and these strategies in our marriage and the way we communicate with each other, is that, you used to call me at work, and like you said, you had an issue, it was hot off the press, you wanted to talk about it now. You wanted it fixed now, and you call me, I'm in the middle of work, and that is a really bad time to be hashing out any type of conflict or some relationship issue. So
it wasn't really fair.
Right.
I didn't think much besides the issue. I was not thinking about his feelings or mine, really. I was just thinking about getting this solved. And so the important thing when you come to your spouse is just think about the one issue and how you can come together. And
Right.
sometimes also when you approach the subject.
And I know I had a story in there somewhere, but I forgot about it. I don't know what it was.
That's fine.
We don't
It's
need to get
okay.
into that one.
So here's what you can do if someone else, probably your spouse, has a problem with you or has an issue with you. So the first thing you can do if, Andy's coming to me, it's really, really important and it's really hard, especially if you're a fighter, is to just listen. Like if Andy comes, hey, we want to have a talk. Oh, and you know what's coming, right? Just shut up and listen, because that's the best gift you can give, and it will also help you think through things. And then don't defend right away and don't argue back. Like, just wait, listen, take a moment to take it, and try not to take it personally, especially not at first, because most of the time when Andy is coming to me or your spouse is coming to you, they're not trying to beat you up. And
Right.
you don't have to put the wall up or fight right away. So just listen, calm down. That's the first thing.
Yeah, especially if the person that's coming to you is a person that likes to not or to avoid conflict at all costs.
Yeah.
There's that was one of the 5 that we shared last week.
Mm-hmm.
Is that if you're that person and you finally, all right, I'm going to do it. Not that it's a courage type of thing, but all right, I'm going to bite the bullet. Let's do it. And then all of a sudden, your spouse on the receiving end bites your head off. You don't want that to happen, and then you're like, okay, well, forget it. Right. But if you listen, and I really like that, and don't argue back, just let them talk. Let them get it all out. Pause for a second.
Yeah, pause. And that's hard if you're a talker, and it's not that you're meaning anything bad. These are just strategies to help you fight better so you both win.
That's right. The next one is try to understand and ask clarifying questions. I love this one, is that try to understand what they're saying. Like, well, if you feel immediately defensive, but it's because you don't understand, maybe you're frustrated, I don't get it, ask questions. Well, where is this coming from? In a calm tone. And just say, tell me more about this and tell me more about that. And it'll kind of make you understand more and maybe put you at ease a little bit, being on the receiving end.
It also gives, if you're quiet and asking question, I know when Andy asks me clarifying questions when I come to him, it helps me think it through too. I'm like, oh yes, okay, well, I'm feeling this way because of this. And it really helps me too. So ask those clarifying questions.
Yeah, I know we've done that, and you come
Katie's
to
like boom, 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 down a notch.
Well, I think it's been reciprocated where we come with a conflict or an issue, and then you ask questions. Oh, I didn't think of that. And you just walk out the room. Okay,
yeah,
let's have some dinner.
It's much better, fighting better.
That's right. And the next one is don't give your opinion. It kind of goes back to our assertiveness and active listening skills that we talked about a few weeks ago. Mm-hmm. Is that when you're the active listener, is don't give your opinion. Mm-hmm. Just reinstate what that person said to you, and to make sure you understand properly.
So. That's what solves, how many times have you and your spouse or significant others that heard these words, or you've heard these words from them, I just don't feel like you understand me. Well, maybe it's because we haven't taken the time to try to understand them, or we haven't been given the opportunity to listen.
That's right. And to follow up with that is putting yourself in their shoes. Mm. After last week, how they tend to normally deal with conflict. So put yourself in their shoes. How does that type of person, if they're a whiner, and they come with a conflict, how are they really feeling right now? They feel like a victim, How are they, what are they thinking right now? Mm-hmm. How would that affect them if I said this? If I said that, I could destroy the whole thing and make us angry with each other for the next 2 days. You don't want to do that. So put yourself in their shoes, and that obviously happens with a lot of other situations, not just conflict resolution, but really anywhere in life. You want to put yourself in somebody else's shoes before having some type of conflict with them.
Because we want to kind of take it back full circle and to remind you that most arguments and most disagreements and most challenges in marriage come from places where you guys are different. Yeah. It's not a bad thing that you're different. Most of the time, the differences make you an amazing team. A power couple, we call our couples power couples because they are so different from each other. But when they come together and they celebrate those differences and they're more aware of how to talk to each other during conflict in a way that doesn't smash the other person, then they're even better team. And
it's really cool, when we see people put these principles into action, see them do it. Cool. Even though we do our best to do it as well, but when we see somebody else do it, we're like, that's radical, man. Who does that? Yes. Mm-hmm. And it's so cool. It's uplifting, and it's just like you're awestruck on how that wife just handled when her husband did or said this. She was so poised and just confident. Mm-hmm. And you can tell that they probably talk about it later, but not to bring it up in a public place or vice versa. And I think it's amazing, and that's why I say they're a power couple. They're radical. They're awesome. That's a power couple.
And we're still learning, but it's just great to have these philosophies and little strategies, and be reminded, like Andy said in the beginning, you probably know all the stuff we shared. You've probably heard it, and you probably utilize some of it. We want to encourage you to do it more.
Absolutely.
That's all. We just want you to have a better relationship.
All right. So without further ado, as we always want to deliver a worksheet and something you can use to be applicable to the material that we just went over.
That's right. So that's what we do here at Real Marriage. We didn't plan on it, but what we decided to do is every time we have a show, anytime we do anything, we want to make sure that we not just share truth and share our ideas, but give you guys something that you can print off or have together, and you can go through it when you have your weekly meeting, when you have your Sunday night meeting. And so tonight's is more like a 10-step process for conflict resolution. And it's called, we use that name, conflict resolution, but literally these 10 steps.
Quit yelling at each other. Well, here's 10 steps on how to do that.
Well, they can also be used for 10 steps to how to talk about things that are more challenging, or maybe you don't feel super comfortable bringing up something or whatever. This is a great little model. So there are 10 steps you go through. We have them nicely bullet pointed on this pretty little sheet that you can get. And then it goes from step 1, which is setting a time and place for your discussion, to brainstorming on different things to try to resolve it, and then agreeing on a solution to try. How many times have you said, been in a disagreement, and then you kind of separate, but neither of you have a very clear picture of what should we do about this? Like, what's
Right.
my responsibility? What's my action? Because if you could both know exactly what to work on, you can be a stronger team. And then it ends with step 10, which is when you come together after a couple days, you praise each other for your hard work, because sometimes
It is hard work.
Yeah, sitting
Absolutely.
down and having a weekly meeting with your spouse. I mean, weeks fly by for us.
Yeah.
But I want to give my husband 15 minutes of undivided attention so I can hear about his week, I can hear what's going on, and we can talk about how he's feeling in our relationship, and then he gets to do the same for me.
Right.
And it's such a gift. It's so important to keep this up. So this worksheet will be so fun to add into your Sunday night meeting. So in order to get that worksheet and all of our worksheets, we always send them out on the Friday before our show.
Right.
And we send them out to our email subscribers because that's the only way we know how to get these tools to you. And if you are not a subscriber yet, don't worry. I actually added it to the auto subscriber email. So even if you just subscribe right now for the next couple of days after this video launches, if you subscribe to our email list, then you'll get this worksheet as well as our gift to you, because we want you to have a happier, healthier relationship with your partner.
So,
Awesome. See you next week.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.